other words, apartheid. Apartheid is a loaded word tied to the racist South African regime of white minority rule. But although the word comes from there, apartheid isn't just a description of what happened in South Africa. It's actually a crime against humanity under international law. In 2021, Human Rights Watch accused Israel of carrying out apartheid. It based this accusation on the 1973 Apartheid Convention and the 1998 Rome Statute, which say that 3 elements have to occur for the crime of apartheid to apply. They are an intent by one group to dominate the other, systematic oppression by one racial group over another, and one or more inhumane acts, like denying people the right to leave and to return to their country, expropriation of landed property, and the creation of separate reserves and ghettos.
Now we know that's exactly what's happened. If you look at this, you'll see the Palestinian citizens of Israel, East Jerusalem, West Bank, and Gaza. Now this is where they're allowed to go. And those are really small sections. If you're in Gaza, you're at the lowest level and there's nothing. It is poverty beyond belief. It is a real dank place to exist. You can't move forward. You can't start businesses. You can't have a home without it being torn down. And then the next place, which isn't a good place, is East Jerusalem. Really small. But that's another place where Palestinians can live. So you get these badges that allows you to live in one of these 4 places if you're Palestinian. This is not the case for Israelites, for Jews, only Palestinians. So they get these tags that allow them to go across borders and go to work someplace or not. If you're in Gaza, you cannot leave Gaza. You can't leave Gaza. You can't move out of Gaza. You can't move to the next biggest place. You can't build a house someplace, so come and tear it down. If you get to East Jerusalem, you're in the same boat, and they're coming to get you. If you're at the West Bank, which is right in the Israeli territory, that's where Jerusalem's at. And that's now where the capital of Israel is at. But yet, that's a major Palestinian area. If you're given rules of regulation that you can live in these places due to the fact that you're Palestinian and you're limited to where you can live, that once you are no longer in one location, like you're in Jerusalem, something happens, they take your house, they take your job, they take your business, they kill all your family, and you're the only one left, and you got to get out of there. So you choose to go to the East Jerusalem. And the same thing happens there. And you can't leave East Jerusalem and go back. You can't go back. So now you moved, keep going. And now you're at Gaza, at the very edge, where all the hostile, angriest of all Palestinians are sitting. Because they're persecuted and they're left out of their homeland, out of everything in life. And everybody in the world doesn't give a shit about them. They care about the Jews. Jews were in the Holocaust. Jews are this and that. But there's 2 Jews. Who are these people that are Zionists? What are they known for?
Country which was made up of 90% Palestinians to European Zionists. They gave it just like you would give a box of chocolates. Historians still debate till this day why the British gave Palestine to Zionists. It's simply baffling. Now, at this point, the Jewish population in Palestine was less than 10%. So when the British started to facilitate the immigration of European Jews to Palestine from 1922 and 1935, the Jewish population rose to 27%. With the British mandate in full swing, mass European Jewish immigration meant that more land would be seized and the native Palestinian population grew increasingly worried. The Palestinians would demonstrate their concerns to their British overlords, but they wouldn't have it. European Jewish settlement was on the rise. The British proposed a partition of Palestine and even advised the forceful removal of the Arab population from their homes. And yes, this was their plan to resolve the issue. So the Palestinians naturally rejected this proposal and revolted against the British. The revolts were crushed violently, killing thousands of Palestinians. But the Palestinians wouldn't give up. They would continue their fight for independence, and the British were clearly fed up. So in 1947, the British decided to hand over their responsibility for Palestine to the United Nations. So basically, they just said, here, clean our mess. And so the UN proposed this ridiculous proposal again, where Palestine will be partitioned into a Jewish and Arab state. Remember, Jews in Palestine only constituted 1/3 of the population, most of whom.
Now, there is no Christian in this plan. None. These are Palestinians who are a mix of Muslim and Arab. They're also Christians, but they don't include Christian as a title of anything.
Whom arrived from Europe just a few years earlier. Yet, in this proposal, they were allocated 55% of the land. Feeling like they got a bad deal again, the Arabs rejected the proposal, and the Zionists accepted. However, here's the catch. The Zionists didn't agree to the proposed borders, and even campaigned for more land. So they agreed to an Israeli state, but didn't agree to the size of it, so they can just choose it for themselves. By 1948, Zionist militia would storm and capture Palestinian populated villages and cities, leaving thousands of Palestinians homeless and landless. The Zionists wanted to seize and cleanse as much land from Palestine before the British would officially withdraw their forces. And on the same day that they left, the Zionists proclaimed the establishment of the new Israeli state. Overnight, millions of Palestinians lost their country. And what's even more bizarre is that immediately the two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, recognized the new state of Israel. And if it couldn't get any worse, May 15th, 1948 was perhaps one of the darkest days in Palestine's history. They called it the Nakba, or the catastrophe. To lose your country, your identity, and your home just like that is something truly horrifying. But that wasn't enough for those Palestinian men, women, and children. They had to be ethnically cleansed from their lands and driven into near total destruction. See, the creation of the State of Israel didn't just mean that 1.9 million Palestinians were forced out of their homes. Didn't just mean that 78% of historic Palestine had been taken from its natives. Didn't just mean that 530 villages and cities were destroyed and ethnically cleansed. And didn't just mean the killing of 15,000 Palestinians in a series of mass atrocities. It means that it was the start of something even more horrifying for the Palestinian people. It signaled over 70 years of occupation, home demolitions, arbitrary arrests, displacements, Israeli expansion, military checkpoints, construction of walls, discrimination, massacres, and bombing of innocent men, women, and children in their own homes. So no, it's not complicated. The Palestinians are a people who have been oppressed and had their lands taken away from them and have been suffering ever since. This is how the events of the past shape the conditions of today. This is why it is important to remember and reflect our history before it repeats itself again.
Yep, and that's the truth. Yeah. We need to do something about it. Yeah. We don't go to war. Yeah. We don't go to war with Israel. You're all bad. You're apartheid. No. We go in a tribal process. We have a tribunal. And we choose that human rights have been completely jeopardized. And we look at it. Yeah. And we have a court. And we bring Netanyahu and the Zionists into court. And we look at this whole thing as a rule of engagement of law so that we can have peace on earth. It's the same thing with dealing with Trump. We bring him into court. We verify the truth. Zionists are liars. They're there because they're lying to be there. Trump is a liar. He became president as a liar. George Santos is a liar. He became congressman as a liar. He should go to court. And we should have our justice. God is only about justice, not vengeance, but justice. Justice is everything. And I'm going to make sure it's done. Palestine, this is done. Yeah, they've been busted. Israel, they can't carry this out. The rise of consciousness and humanity through Jesus the Christ is changing the Antichrist and the process that it's fulfilling. Taking over Israel, wiping out the human race, bringing in homosexuality, and harassing every good holy person in the world from going to sacred sites and being in a pilgrimage in peace, without that sacred site being a war zone because it's a sacred site. And liars like the Dalai Lama, like the head of China, like Netanyahu, like Trump, like Kushner, they don't care anything at all. They have no conscience whatsoever. Not zero. I mean, that's an amazing thing, don't you think? How can you live without a conscience? But all you have to do is look straight in the eye of Kushner. He's soulless. Look straight in the eye of Trump. He is a soulless man. Look straight in the eye of Netanyahu. He is a soulless man. A lying, deceptive human being that has not been busted yet. And he will be.